Hi. Oh, there. Lighting's better. Welcome. Welcome. Hope you have a little beverage to join me for this chat. This might be wine. It's not. It's lemon water. Not sponsored by Twisted Vine Family Vineyard, but if you're in the Ohio area, go check them out. So today I'm going live because I have a few little things that usually I end up discussing with parents at some point during the year, and they become part of my parent ed, even though they're not necessarily like parent night topics. And so I really don't know how to work them all into videos. So I thought I would just go live with them and share some of the things I think are most important to me that have helped me most once I realized them, or in some cases, someone pointed them out to me and it shifted my thinking or helped me notice things I didn't notice before in my parenting and now also in my teaching life. But before I get into that, coincidentally, I realized when I was choosing what day to go live on that I was thinking, hey, May, that's an important date in the Montessori community, and it's actually today is the anniversary of Marie Montessori's death, and she died in the Netherlands. And she said that wherever she was in the world when she died, she just wanted to be buried there. And I just want to read what's on her tombstone real quick. It is, I beg the dear all-powerful children to unite with me for the building of peace in man and in the world. All right. Okay. So these are in no particular order. And please, if you have your own things to add, go ahead and add them below or on the side, I guess, for you guys. All right. So the first thing I recommend that's been very helpful to me is to figure out your own love language and your child's love languages. So if you've never heard of the love languages, I'll just, it's a book by Gary Chapman. He has several books and one specifically just for children. I think the first one focused on marriages, but that we all express love and like to receive love in one of 5 main ways. And those are, one is physical touch, one is gifts, one is acts of kindness, one is words of affirmation, and the other is quality time. So it's very helpful to learn this so that you know how best to love your child, and so that they will feel loved the greatest if you're expressing it in a particular way. And so you can take the test for yourself if you don't know what your love language is. And maybe when I name them, you went, well, I know which one of those it is. And for children, it can take some observation because we're so deeply connected to them when we're younger, as we're more involved in their physical caretaking and they're more dependent on us. But as they grow up and become less dependent, can become even more important to be sure to love them in their love language. And I know for me, my love language is acts of kindness, and that is not really the predominant love language of any of my 3 children. And they have different love languages, all 3 from each other. And some of them are kind of like incompatible. I just had to work like to remind myself, oh, that's their love language, and be sure to speak to them and love them with their love language. Because, for example, I could go the whole rest of my life without words of affirmation and probably be fine. if you're, and so I don't naturally give them as a way to express love either. And so, having a child that really wants to be loved in that way, it could leave a big gap. And so, whatever your love language is, whatever your child's love language is, just try to be aware of it and try to look for ways to speak to them in that love language. And with your, if you have a romantic partner, the same with them and your friends also. Try to figure out what their love language is, or maybe you can just ask them. They'll just tell you, but you might be able to guess. Okay, so maybe I should cross these off. So that's one. All right. Another is that families are, living, breathing, unique units, and every family is super unique. It's probably obvious, just like every individual is very unique. And just like every individual isn't good at things naturally or easily, things don't come easy to individuals. It's the same with a family, just who is in your family, the age spread between the children, what age you were when you have them, all these things make up a very unique family. And to just acknowledge that and know that your family won't naturally be good at certain activities, and some activities they'll. So, for example, my family is not great at dinner time. It's not where we shine. And we're not great at going out to dinner either. Like, it's just the time of day. I don't know. Whatever it is, it's like dinner is just like not Norman Rockwell at all. Not bad. It's just not like our thing. On the other hand, very good at breakfast. Breakfast is relaxing. Breakfast is happy. Breakfast is fun on the weekends. Going out to breakfast, we seem to do really well, though they would still always like put us in the back of the restaurant when the kids were younger. Sitting around the campfire, having s'mores, dessert a couple hours after dinner. We're good at that, but I never felt we really never mastered like the just dinner I thought should be. And so once I just said, what does dinner have to be at? I know there's studies about the family dinner, but it doesn't actually have to be dinner. It can be breakfast sitting around talking. It can be the campfire sitting around talking. So, if you find like you're just trying to, like, everyone's agitated and you're in your head against the wall trying to, live out some fantasy that you think your family's supposed to be good at, just let go of that and just think your family will have its things that it's great at and that it enjoys. And usually I find with family activities, things go well when actually the parents enjoy doing them and the kids enjoy doing them. And another good example is game night. Like, I don't like playing games, board games much, or puzzles. And I don't apologize for that, but I did feel like I was supposed to have game night. So we kept on trying. And even though I thought I had a good attitude, it just never worked off. But we did love like playing flag football in the backyard and playing catch after dinner. And that was more of our family's thing. So just accept that your family is a unique little unit and don't compare yourself to, what other families are doing for fun or what, Disney's saying you're supposed to have a movie night. Just, do you and accept it, and your children will thrive. I promise you. All right. Oh. All right, let me go. Okay. Here's one. I remember learning this very specifically with my middle child, and that is try not to be more stubborn than your child is. And people will tell you the opposite. You've got to out-stubborn your child, but really, especially with toddlers, try not to be more stubborn than your child. So my middle child had like thrown peas on the floor, and it was past the age where he was experimenting with gravity. He was just like throwing peas on the floor for kicks. And I sat there on the kitchen floor, I think it was almost 2 hours trying to get him to pick them up by himself. This was before my Montessori training. My daughter had been in Montessori school, so I had that little thing about doing stuff for yourself, but this was not what that was supposed to look like, and it was just a standoff. And finally, and this was a child that was really good at sitting still, so he just sat there with me, refusing to pick up the keys. We just sat there. And the next day, I told his teacher that, and she was like, "Oh, well, that was really stubborn of you, Julie." I was like, "That's not what I wanted to say." But so that's my advice. Just don't be more stubborn than your child. If you know there are points when they're just going to need a little help and encouragement with with you. All right. Ooh. So family gatherings and family activities are great, but I think the thing I did really well, and it's because I am the middle child, is just doing things one on one with your children. It doesn't always have to be a whole family. And whether you're a middle child or not, just try to have little times to go out, just you. And if there's two parents, each parent, have one time with each child. And just if it's just been going on a walk, but just to have your parents' undivided attention is really a great gift you can give your child. And we did trips to a mom and child trip, just one each, alone, and those were really great too. They all did very different activities and different memories were made, but I really valued that time too as a parent, having that one-on-one time. Once I had 3 children, I think they did too. Oh, yeah. My eldest is watching. She got to go backpacking in the rain. So, but that made good memories for both of us, I think, even though it was wet. All right. This is one. This is a phrase we say in our family to the kids, but it's also true for adults, is to keep things in your thought bubble. Remember, not everything that goes through your head needs to be said in the moment, especially when emotions are high. So if you can train yourself, classics would be the "I told you so," or, if you had done it this way, things would have been better. It's more as the children age, not necessarily with toddlers, but just learn that some things can just be kept in your thought bubble until later when emotions aren't running high and you can have a civilized conversation. So keep things in your thought bubble. Okay. Another is kind of related to love languages, but also different, is that remember that people have different energy types. And I'll link the book if you're watching this on recording, which probably most people will be. Link a book by Carol Tuttle called The Child Whisperer, which is an interesting title. But anyway, about different energy types. So some of our energies like go outward and are bouncy, and some of our energies are really still. And if you have a child that is opposite of you, sometimes that can be a struggle to find ways to have activities together that meet both of your needs. And of course, as parents, sometimes we'll just defer to the child's desires, but should be parenting the children a long time, it is good to find activities you both enjoy. And so just to be aware of your different energy types, and that neither is good or bad. The world needs all types, but just to kind of try to be aware of that and think of activities that can make everyone happy that there's a lot of opportunity for movement during a vacation, for example, and downtime if you have children of both energy types. All right. Okay, and so for those of you that have or will have multiple children, I invite you just to get rid of the idea that you will be able to treat your children equally. It is not possible. Some of your children will have periods of time where they're very demanding, and others will be very easy and they won't need you as much. So you don't have to feel guilty when one of your children needs a lot of attention, but hopefully this will come in ways. You know, sometimes, like, I do have a child with special needs, so when he was younger, he just needed a lot more attention, but just focus more on giving each child what they really need and not that you're going to treat them all equally. Otherwise, it's impossible to treat all children equally because our lives evolve and it's not necessary because their needs evolve and change over time. All right. So talk a little bit about comparison. Now, when my children were young, I didn't have to worry about social media and comparing my parenting or my children to everyone in the world like people do now. But I did have, comparisons to like people at mom's group and stuff. And I think there's a lot of talk about, not comparing yourself to other people. And so that's good. I also want to invite you to not compare yourself to your parenting partner or compare yourself to your, how good a parent you were 2 years ago, or compare yourself to the type of parent you always thought you were going to be. I thought I would be like, Little House on the Prairie mom. What was her name? What is Laura Ingalls Wilder's mom's name? I don't know. But that's what I thought I would be like. But that was not my destiny. And so just let go of any kind of comparisons and know that, like, I think I was a pretty good parent to my toddlers and really not so good during the pubescent years. I think a little better with the adult children, but you will be better at different ages. There's a few people in the world that are just good with all ages, but most of them have different strengths for different times. And if it seems like your parenting partner is just like rocking it with the toddlers and you're frustrated, or, maybe you're going to be really great with 9-year-olds. So just try not to compare yourself to anybody or to your past self or to the thought you would be. You can only control what you can control now. I don't know what that means. Am I reading the comments? I don't know what that means. If you could say a few more words about that, Emma Davis. We don't play with cow poop. We don't play with cow poop. A couple more. One is, don't put pressure on yourself to orchestrate memories, to create memories. Plan fun activities, of course, but putting pressure on yourself, like, I'm going to have this great, fabulous trip and make all these memories with my child, or we're going to plan this perfect day and my child's going to remember. Because our family is good at road trips. That's one of the things we're good at. And we love road trips. And they've been to, like, South Dakota Badlands, the Redwood Forest, Yellowstone. There's all kinds of places between the two coasts, and had a lot of good times. And, the Crazy Horse Monument and Mount Rushmore and all those things that were fun. But if you ask my children, and I asked all three of them separately today, what was the most fun thing we ever did? And they said Frog Lake, which Frog Lake is this little muddy lake with frogs and a very mediocre campground. I mean, it's pretty, but it's like, that cost us almost nothing and little planning. And the campsite was, in my mind, one of the worst. But for their consistently always say, oh, see, she's saying right now, Frog Lake. That was so, you can spend a lot of time and a lot of money doing things you think are fabulous, but your kids will like what they're going to like, and then they don't need much to create memories. And and they choose which one. See, she said, my daughter, that's my daughter on there, Frog Lake. All right, the last one, and I think this is the most important because I have messed this up quite a bit during my parenting journey, and that is the need to validate feelings. And well, that's important just to build trust in a relationship and so that your child feels that they can come to you with anything and you won't judge them. And one way I think I really messed up is I always try to give like perspective too quickly, like, oh, but it could be worse this way, or maybe they thought this or whatever, instead of just letting the children vent and saying that must really suck. And that's when I'm really good at this with my students, but not so good at it with my children. So I'm still working on this one. So just listening and validating that even if you don't agree with their perspective or their thoughts around an issue, that you don't have to go right into that. Just validate their feelings and that they have a right to feel anyway about anything and not, be pointing out how other people have it much worse. Because, that doesn't make you feel better. And I know that in my head. All right. So I think those are that's all I had to say. Anybody have any good advice they want to put in the comments? No? All right. Well, thanks for watching. And this is kind of a celebration of that we got up to 100 subscribers, which is cool because this just started because I couldn't do in-person parent education. And now we have other people watching too. So thanks for stopping by, and I'll catch you next time. All right. Take care.